Excellent. I'll just let it refresh. Because like myself, I have some colleagues who are, shall we say, modern technology challenged. Jonathan Royle, I've appeared, so I'll just click share on that, and then I will close that window so we run better here and come back. Share now, public, yes. I do believe I have done. 1 minute past 5, so give it another 30 seconds or so to let people arrive. And you may, well, it'll be recorded, so you don't really need a paper and pen, because obviously you can always watch a replay if you want to take notes. So just before I begin, I'd just like to thank very much the international practitioners of holistic medicine for giving me this opportunity to share some stuff with you today. Obviously, most of you already know, but if you don't know, people are seeing this on, why am I spotlighting? Am I in the center for everybody else? Because on my screen, I'm just at the top.
Yeah, you're pinned.
Okay. It just, God knows why it hasn't worked for me at this end.
It's the view that you have it on. So if you go in the right corner and press view,
yeah,
and then put speaker view. I'm
on speaker view, and I'm still at the top across. You're the big vision.
Everyone said that you're the big one on the main screen.
Okay. All right. Okay. Because I haven't pinned myself at this end. I've done it now. Right. Okay. We can start properly. Good afternoon, everybody. By birth, my name is Alex William Smith, but I am better known because I changed my name years ago as Jonathan Royle Hypnotist. And you can discover more about me later, if you so desire, on my main website, magicalguru.com. But please don't go there right now, because hopefully, as long as this share screen thing works for me properly, then hopefully you're going to see on screen, I hope, the words failure and pain at the moment. Is everyone seeing that?
Yeah, we can see it.
Excellent. Let's hope this works. Does it allow me to get to my arrow here? You see, as complementary or alternative medical practitioners, holistic therapists, call yourself what you will. I don't care if you're a reflexologist, an EFT tapper, hypnotherapist, a sound bath person, a herbalist. I don't care. I don't mean in the sense that I don't care about what you do. What I mean is it doesn't matter what it is you do. All of it, when your clients come to you with a health habit, addiction, fear, phobia, or a health issue, an imbalance, call it what you will, somewhere within their mind or body, whether they're consciously aware of it or not, is irrelevant. Somewhere, generally an unconscious, subconscious, buried kind of, if you like, in the human computer bank's hard drive, hidden away like a virus, is some sort of negative program that's running, and it's put them in a position where currently, because they're not doing something they want to do, or they're doing something they no longer want to do, one or the other, somewhere there's some feeling of failure or pain or disappointment running within them. And that is because at some level, and this applies to any issue from A through to Z, whether it's psychological, physiological, or both, that is because they've got an imbalance in them and a sense of failure. So within them somewhere is some level of frustration, aggressiveness, insecurity, loneliness, uncertainty, resentment, or emptiness. As I say, these are things that can be running at an unconscious, subconscious level in the background, like a virus on a computer, without them consciously being aware. And they're things that could have been hanging around for years from childhood, which I'll come to later. And unfortunately, if they do come to you with an issue, it will be because they're imbalanced in some area of what I call Royle's hierarchy of human needs. Now, you may have already heard of Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, the need for shelter, food, and protection and safety and things, but there's human needs as well. And every human being, whether they're consciously aware of it or not, to operate at full effectiveness, to be able to be fully in control of their mind, body, physiology, and their health and everything in a positive manner, they need to feel, and the key word there, feel, it doesn't have to be reality, as I'll come to later, but they just need to feel as though they are loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished, and valued. Now, they may sound all very similar, but in actual fact, if you get a dictionary and a thesaurus and take those words, which are loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished, and valued, you'll see they're all very different indeed, because some of them relate to people's self-confidence levels, some of them would relate to their self-image, the way they see themselves, some to their self-esteem, the way they feel about themselves, and some to their self-control, or you could call it willpower, okay? So if there's any imbalance in any area of those 7 things, loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished, and valued, it will have a negative knock-on effect on their self-confidence, their self-image, their self-esteem, and or their self-control. It doesn't have to be all of them, it can be one, or it could be a bit in all of them. It's different for everybody. That's what makes each client individual, but it's guaranteed to have its roots somewhere in these. And that will affect and infect that person's, in a negative manner, knock-on effect, their self-worth, their self-respect, their self-love, and their selfishness. And I mean positive selfishness. Kind of like when you're on an aeroplane and they tell you at the start that in the case of an emergency, put your oxygen mask on before you do your children's. Because if you were to think you were doing the best thing by putting your child's oxygen mask on first, while you're putting the first child's mask on, you could pass out and not be able to help the other children. So you have to be selfish sometimes, put your mask on first, so you're fully capable of helping other people. So sometimes positive selfishness, putting yourself as number one, is actually the positive thing. And if there's any negative knock-on effect on them, then it will manifest as a symptom, whether it's a habit, addiction, fear, or phobia, whether it's a health complaint, a feeling of pain, whether that's a physical, emotional, or spiritual pain, some form of negativity, the person feeling trapped, having a dis-ease, and I brought the word up there purposely because when people are in the negative state, they do not feel at ease. It's a dis-ease, it's negative and therefore stressed, whereas the opposite would be to feel at ease and relaxed, obviously. And that can knock them into self-destruct mode, which at the total mega extreme end of things can lead to crime, self-harming, which doesn't have to be cutting yourself and mega serious. It can be smoking too much, drinking too much, gambling too much, drugs, which again doesn't necessarily mean heroin. It can at one end, but it could also just be smoking, or it could be the drug of the hit of eating sugary, fatty foods. Can manifest in so many different ways, some of which you just see passing you on the screen. Some severe examples, obviously the most severe being suicide, which somebody correctly once said, suicide is a very permanent solution to what most always is just a temporary problem. And you know, somebody who survived jumping out of a block of flats, if you search the internet, you will find that this genuinely happened. Somebody from about a 20-story block of flats actually survived, broke every bone in the body and stuff, but in hospital, when they're asked about it, they said, you know what, the moment I jumped out of the window, I realized I only had one problem in life, and that was that I jumped out of the window. Can cause trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, or those can be the underlying things that have caused the imbalances that we've spoken about before. And it can cause fear. Now, that doesn't just have to be phobias. It can manifest in many different ways. And fear, in this acronym, stands for false evidence against reality, or false evidence appearing real. It can also stand for F as in the swear word with 4 letters, F everything and run, or face everything and rise. Hence, surrounded by it, you can see it says fight, flight, freeze and shite. Because people may have heard of the fight and flight syndrome, where you either stay and fight and hopefully win the battle, or you run like the clappers because of all the extra adrenaline that's been released into your body. But actually there's 2 other elements to that, which is freeze, where you end up freezing thinking, do I fight? Do I run? And it's too late, or it would have been in dinosaur days because you get killed while you're in freeze. But there's also the shite, which is the natural body's release of defecation, and that was inbuilt in nature to create a sting to hopefully make the dangerous wild animal that might have been about to attack you hopefully be repelled by that. Unfortunately, or rather fortunately in many ways, we don't live in a world like that anymore where we're going to get attacked by saber-toothed tigers, but unfortunately we haven't been rewired. We're still running the same operating software, and so our reactions to things that when we finally become consciously aware of them, which is where we're heading with this, we can end up laughing at ourselves and going, why did I let that bother me for so long? Well, it's not that you let it, you had no choice if it was running in the background on the computer like some kind of virus that had seeped in there and was running the hard drives of your personal laptop computer. You didn't have a choice until you get in there, kind of using mind hacks to get into the personal laptop computer, remove the virus, instill new positive programs, and then that can let you move forward and overcome what are often, more often than not, childhood anchors. And I say more often than not, it always is to some degree. Now, the reason I say it always is because either A, it will be the childhood experience that was experienced as being traumatic, but as an adult, when re-experienced, you can often laugh at. So I'm not talking about children who have been unfortunate enough to suffer physical, mental, verbal or sexual abuse, although if that's occurred in childhood, wow, then the need for inner child therapy to help them offload all that self-blame, shame, guilt and regret that they're probably walking around with is even more vital. But most of us fortunately don't experience the major end of things, but we do get maybe the odd misplaced comment said to us. But as a child at the time, in that moment, it cuts to the core and it goes into the personal laptop computer because we're in the formative years of birth. Sigmund Freud, or Sigmund Freud as more people know him, kind of said that was 0 to 7. In my experience, it's birth to around the teenage years, and then we kind of get frozen in time. And that's what we're working on in terms of what's in our personal laptop computers. And if there are any negative reactions or reactions to things from birth to teenage years, and Christ, even if it's only during puberty, the confusion and disorientation of how life changes is bound to cloud issues of later life if those are the programs that are running. So there's always some kind of childhood anchor, whether it's just a little one of readjustment and having seen things through a child's eyes that's got locked into the computer bank so that in later life, we're seeing, without consciously being aware of it, situations through the eyes of the child rather than an adult in our unconscious mind. And our unconscious overrules our conscious efforts. And thus, sadly, I'll jump the APET one, and has a negative effect on our emotions. E for energy, motion is movement, which will become relevant in a minute, because the movement, the direction, the vibration, the frequency, call it what you will, of the energy in your body when you've become addicted to a habit, addiction, fear or phobia, or you've got a negative emotional reaction to something, or you've got a blockage in life due to some sort of negative anchor from childhood, or even if it was only from an adult experience. The point is that something is fixing the motion of the energy, the emotions connected to that, to stop you moving forward in the way that you desire to now. And we need, as a therapist, or if you're doing it for yourself, to change the direction, change the frequency, change the vibration. change the energy and change your intent, but not just consciously. There's only so much you can do consciously, because when your conscious mind and your imagination, the unconscious, subconscious mind, are in conflict, the imagination will always win, because that is what is controlling your personal laptop computer. So with that in mind, you can have all the conscious effort in the world, and loads of people, for example, stop smoking because they consciously go, I'm not going to smoke today, and they have cravings and they go, no, I'll not have one. But sooner or later they relapse. Or if they don't relapse into smoking, they get symptom substitution, where the underlying program that's running that caused them to smoke manifesting some other way, perhaps by getting them to eat more instead, or to bite the fingernails. Because the underlying problem that caused those symptoms to manifest, or that need, hasn't been dealt with. And because they're in a position where they're sad. SAD can stand for seasonal affective disorder, or social anxiety disorder, or as I'm portraying it here, as stress, anxiety, depression. But this can be running unconsciously without them being aware of it, because of the things that were instilled in childhood, or if it gets really bad, then it can seep through into the conscious, and that's when it can cause all manner of issues. So the solution, and it's easier said than done initially, don't worry, I will give you details at the end of how to make it more attainable, rather than seeming something that's a bit airy-fairy. But ultimately, we need to make that person feel. And it doesn't have to have a basis in reality, because their unconscious, subconscious mind is like a computer program. It doesn't know the difference between something that's imaginary or real, which is why we can replace real memories of the past that have got negative overtones, and we can go in and reprogram them, remove them, and replace them with memories of the past, apparently, whereby the reaction is one that's positive, because what they end up remembering and reacting to as trigger points in the future is completely different, because we replaced it with something purely imaginary for their positive outcome. Because the imagination always rules the conscious intent. So feelings are, to a degree, imaginary. They don't have to have any basis in reality. You know, you can have people who are surrounded by family and friends that make them feel loved, but by the same token, you can have a loner who spends all his time on their own through their own choice, who feels loved just because they know if they chose to go and visit family, or they could just make up their own, as people who meditate do, their own reality. It doesn't matter about reality or facts. It's about what the person ends up feeling, and more importantly, what runs in that unconscious, subconscious mind area. So we need to make them, whatever their habit, addiction, fear, or phobia, or health issue, it can be even, you know, because any negative thoughts can cause organic change in the body. A great resource for that is Dr. Bruce Lipton's The Biology of Belief book, if you want to look into that more. But to get them to heal, to get them to cause organic change for the better within their body, or to overcome habits, addictions, fears, or phobias, or any other problem you can think of from A through to Z, we need the client in front of us, or if it's us ourselves, to feel loved, fully loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished, and valued, so that when those things become in balance, okay, and get balanced out, because when they come to you, there will be some imbalance in one or more of them, but by balancing them all out, it will then have a positive knock-on effect on their self-confidence, their self-image, their self-esteem, and their self-control, aka willpower. And when that has a positive knock-on effect on those four foundational things, it will positively affect and impact their self-worth, their self-respect, their self-love, and their positive selfishness, so they can look after number one, to be selfless, to be selfish first, to be selfless later, and it'll make them feel whole again, even if it's only at an unconscious, subconscious level. That's why often people with problems in life say they feel a gap. Some people fill it with religion, some people fill it with food, some people fill it with alcohol, smoking, drugs, sex, or all manner of things, but they're searching to fill a gap. Well, by balancing out those emotional pillars we've just spoke about, you can make the person feel whole again without the need for drugs, alcohol, or anything else of a negative fashion. And it can give them a sense of freedom, pleasure, happiness, laughter, and relax, which is the opposite of being stressed. So we talked about disease at the negative end. The opposite of that is relaxed. And that's what it is. Our job as a therapist is to take them from failure and pain to pleasure and success. And we do that by making them feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished, and valued, so that it increases their self-confidence, self-image, self-esteem, and self-control. So it increases their self-worth, their self-respect, their self-love, their positive selfishness, so that they can achieve success in overcoming any habit, addiction, fear, or phobia they may have, or being relaxed enough so that the stress in their life is diminished. And stress, as any medical doctor or even holistic doctor will tell you, studied properly, can be the largest negative contributory factor to organic illness, as well as psychological issues. So when you can remove the stress, instill laughter, relaxation, pleasure, and pride, then success, a sense of direction, understanding, courage, calmness, esteem, self-confidence, self-acceptance can positively take over. And the word FAR kind of sums this up, because when your client comes to you, they will have one or more at an unconscious level negative programs running of fear, frustration, or failure, anguish, anxiety, or anger, and R for resentment, regret, or remorse. And when we help balance out those emotional things that I talked about, which we can use NLP, hypnotherapy, we can use Reiki, we can use reflexology, it doesn't matter. Whatever complementary alternative medicine you use, by giving person attention and time to focus specifically on themselves, whether you're already aware of it or not, as a therapist, you're helping them balance those things out, so that then the F can become forgiveness. The A can become acceptance. The R can become forgiveness, acceptance, realization, and release, letting go of those things that once held them back in the past, so that they can let go of all that self-blame, self-shame, self-guilt, and self-regret that they've been carrying around. Because deep down, consciously, most people have been thinking, I could change this for myself, and they kind of could have done, other than the negative program running in their unconscious mind. They need, and that's to change that's powerful enough to motivate them to do it. They need permission to change, so they don't feel bad for not having done it sooner. And that's what we do. We give them a safe environment to change. And that little word, the Samaritans at the bottom, is to remind me of Chad Vera, who founded the Samaritans, who coined the phrase, don't just do something, sit and listen. In other words, give the person time, make them feel special, because that then makes them feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished, and valued, and has an automatic knock-on effect on all those emotional things I talked about before. And when they balance out, so that they're running positive programs in their unconscious mind, positive thoughts there become conscious positive thoughts, become conscious positive actions, which bring conscious positive results and positive knock-on effects. We need to instill in them a belief that they can change, an expectancy that they can change and will change. And we need to use some kind of important seeming ritualistic process to fixate their conscious mind, focus their attention of their conscious mind, which has been getting in the way of them moving forward in the past, on one thing. And a great can be some form of relaxation process, whether that's reflexology, massage, aromatherapy, hypnotherapy, it doesn't matter. All of these have got some kind of important seeming ritualistic process that the client can consciously focus upon. And that relaxation itself, pushing aside the worries, stresses, fears, and apprehensions of days, weeks, and months, and years gone by in the therapy consulting room, is massively healing on a physiological psychological, and even biological level. And I refer you to the book, The Relaxation Response by Dr. Herbert Benson, a medical doctor who tells you the benefits of relaxation physically, psychologically, physiologically, but basically on all possible levels. Time is the great healer, they say. Well, it is when you're giving a person the focus of your time and energy and intent that they will get better through that important seeming ritualistic process, because it transmits to them, your confidence that it will work transmits to them and helps them to relax, so that the conscious mind can focus on the ritual, which allows their critical faculty, analytical area, I'll jump that one for now, we don't need them now, to be bypassed, the critical analytical area of the brain, so that you're positive, whether they're verbal suggestions or non-verbal. Now, hypnotists use verbal suggestions a lot, but you know, a masseuse or a reflexologist uses non-verbal suggestions just by having that confidence in themselves that this is going to work, and that sincerity. That body language will transmit an intent to the client, which is a non-verbal suggestion, and this helps trigger the placebo effect. Because placebo is not a negative thing like people think. In fact, placebo is the key to all holistic medicine, all complementary alternative medicine. And when you understand the placebo effect more fully, it helps you to be a better therapist and get more rapid, long-lasting results. The opposite of the nocebo effect is when the client doesn't believe something will work for them. So they've got to have total faith and conviction in you as a therapist as well as what you do. And that's where your advertising comes in. Okay, now there's a thing you may not have heard of, or you may have done, called the Galatea effect, and this is effectively internalized self-fulfilling prophecies. It's that little voice in your head that at the job interview says, I hope I don't get nervous and say the wrong thing, and because you're giving yourself that negative internal talk, you end up being nervous and doing something silly. Equally, if you are giving yourself an internal voice that's going, I feel fantastic, I no longer need those sugary or fatty foods, then you're more likely to actually, as long as you've reprogrammed the subconscious laptop computer as well, you'll then be running in harmony and more likely to have that occur as reality. So when people come to you as a therapist, the only reason they've got a problem is because somewhere, even if it's only unconsciously, is because they have a level of self-doubt. And those self-doubts, or the other things I've spoken about that are imbalanced, the way to remedy that is through the Pygmalion effect, which is hanging around the right people, people that believe in them. So you as the therapist will transmit to them the fact that you believe your therapy works. Your advertising shows social proof and videos from past clients saying how their lives have positively changed for the better. So when they get in your consulting room and they're around you, or even if they're online with Zoom with you and they feel your energy because of your voice tone, your body language, your non-verbal suggestions of confidence in what you do, and the proof they've seen from past clients, you become that person that believes in them and that it's going to work for them. And it triggers off the Pygmalion effect, which also is why we need to avoid negative people, or the opposite occurs where it has a negative effect on people, the Gollum effect as it's called. So the Galatea effect, which you can do more research on, kicks in from the Pygmalion effect. You need to believe in the client and transmit that belief to them so they feel it, and they kick in the Galatea effect of internally saying to themselves, I believe this will work, I expect this to work, and that will trigger the placebo effect, which will then become reality for them. This is another way of summing it up, is that the other person believes in you, so you're the therapist, the client's there, so you as the therapist are the other person that believes in them. The client's brain responds to the non-verbal and verbal suggestions, the body language. That new belief is internalized. The new positive self-talk happens of this is going to work. I know this is going to be fantastic. That triggers the placebo effect, which means they then have a belief and expectancy of success. The totem effect can also add to this. Totem is any object. So as a hypnotherapist, we may give them an audio CD or an MP3 download on a USB stick at the end of the session to take away and listen to. That's a physical, tangible object they can attach some belief to. As a crystal healer, you may give them their lucky crystal. to hold each day and say their affirmations over. But it's something that they can attach a belief to, and believe it or not, that heightens the placebo effect and things working for them, just in the same way as when they believe taking a tablet that the doctors told them to take 3 times a day will work, it's more likely then to do so. The Hawthorne effect is another element of our work. People modify their behaviours more easily and permanently when they believe they are being watched. And that's the reason that any ethical, success-minded therapist should be doing follow-ups a week and a month down the line with their clients and telling their clients that that's going to happen. So you're kind of holding them accountable and they're expecting this, so that the Hawthorne effect can also kick in as well, because perception is everything. If you are just charging 40, 50 pounds to stop somebody smoking who's got a 20 to 40 a day habit, for example, then they might stop for a bit, but sooner or later, they're either going to get symptom substitution and it manifests in some other way, or they're going to relapse. And you know why? Because deep down, they will not believe that 40 or 50 quid to stop them smoking is going to last long term when they're spending in England around £10 a day on cigarettes. It's only a 5-day supply. Now, when you charge them more like 280, 300 quid or 310 quid, what it will cost them for a month's supply of cigarettes, whereas I do £500 a session, so it's kind of 6 weeks supply of cigarettes, then they add a level of prestige to it. And it's not that I'm just selling them an hour of my time. You don't sell your clients your time. That's the big mistake most therapists make, and why they never make the amount of money that they could be doing, and why they end up with more month left at the end of the money than they've got money left at the end of the month. And that's because they don't charge their clients enough. So in the long term, they may get failures, or they may get relapses, or they're just not making enough money. You're actually doing your client a disservice if you're not making enough money to pay your bills without sitting there. Because if you're sat there apparently treating your client, but your unconscious mind is worrying about, will I get some more clients before the end of the month to be able to pay the mortgage, then frankly, I would say that's unethical, and you're not giving 100% to your clients. When you're earning enough from your clients that you've got an abundance of income, then you can sit there and give your clients 100%, and that will be picked up non-verbally and verbally, that you've got a confidence in them and you're fully relaxed in your life and position in life. And then that means you're being more ethical as a therapist and actually giving more positive value to your clients. You've got to sell the sizzle, not the sausage. The results, you don't sell them an hour or an hour and a half of your time to stop them smoking, or a number of sessions for whatever your speciality is. No, you're selling them that change in life that removes that fear and block of flying, for example, which means that now that they may be able to get a promotion they wouldn't have been able to take in the past because they were scared of flying. There's always a bigger picture of the positive repercussions that the client can have that's got a real mega value to them, more than just the small price that most therapists lock themselves into charging. You need pride in yourself, and you need to give your clients pride. It stands for positive reinforcement. Reinforcement is repetition. Internal dialogue, that voice in your head. Enhanced energy, emotion, movement. I'm not going to repeat those anymore. I think my slides for now, and I'm going to finish with the slides with this one, and that is the reminder that what I've just said before is kind of summed up by the Whitney Houston song, The Greatest Love of All. And if you go on YouTube after I've finished and type in The Greatest Love of All and listen to it, sorry for what's about to happen, but it goes, I believe that, it sounds a lot better than this when Whitney Houston does it, I promise you. It goes, I believe the children are our future. Treat them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier when they're adults. Those aren't in the words, but that's the truth. But to make it easier, let the children's laughter remind us how it used to be. Listen to the words. It's inner child therapy. You've got to go in and give that inner child, or as I referred to it before, the personal laptop computers virus that's running from years ago. permission to change, an excuse to change, a safe environment to change, and the ability to offload all that self-blame, shame, guilt, and regret that it's been carrying around. Hopefully, if I click stop share, it goes back to me, that it's been carrying around. And then that person will be able to effectively cure themselves, because that's all they ever do with guidance and direction from us. Whatever complementary alternative medical practice you use, holistic health approach, whether it involves speaking to them or not, or it's something non-verbal, suggestion is the key to everything. And the placebo effect is also. I'm limited for time today, but I'd thank again the international practitioners of holistic medicine for giving me this opportunity to hopefully whet your appetite. If it's interested you in any way and you'd like to learn more about what you're really doing as a therapist, okay, I'm clicking there. There's some links got into the chat box there on Zoom. I will post them on the Facebook video later as well. On my website, ultimatehypnosiscourse.com, that's ultimatehypnosiscourse.com, or even easier, H for hypnosis, T for training, G for group, and then live, L-I-V-E, so that's htglive.com. If you go to there when I finish, there is a video that will expand on these emotional pillars and will expand on exactly how everything you're doing, whatever area of holistic medicine or complementary alternative medicine you're involved in, the placebo effect is the key. Verbal and non-verbal suggestion are the other keys. Whether you want to believe that or not consciously, I'm telling you it's the most powerful thing. Your crystals, your herbs, your massage technique, where you touch them or tap them, is effectively irrelevant other than being an important seeming ritualistic process for the client to attach their conscious mind to enable critical faculty bypass of the brain, to help you reprogram that computer, which is ultimately what happens and gives them permission to change. This is expanded on further in the free videos you will find at ultimatehypnosiscourse.com and htglive.com. You'll also find details there about something called the ELITE Hypnosis Bootcamp. It's not just about teaching you hypnosis law. In the bootcamp, you will learn from 16 world-class teachers, not just me, but other experts in their field, experts in NLP, experts in, you'll be able to learn reflexology, massage, meditation, mindfulness, Reiki, meridian tapping therapies, as well as neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, and my unique approaches of cured, complete unconscious reprogramming of emotional disease and distress, and my approach of mind-emotion liberation techniques to help your clients melt the problems away. In fact, in the bootcamp, once you remember, you can earn, if you choose to, at no additional cost, a one-time only membership fee, and then you're a member for life, nothing else to ever spend. You can earn up to 26 world-class accredited qualifications, accredited by the IPHM, of course, but also by Personal Development Associates USA, by the United Kingdom Board of Clinical Hypnotherapy, the Neuro-Linguistic Programming Practitioners Association, and the Royal Institute of Hypnotherapy and Psychotherapy, as well as the Mindcare Organisation UK Limited. All the details you need are at ultimatehypnosiscourse.com. There's a special offer if you join the Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp before midnight on Valentine's Day. And when you make payment, you send me a note saying, I'm a IPHM Fest attendee, I saw the video, then not only will I give you a lifetime membership to the Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp, details of which are at ultimatehypnosiscourse.com, but I will give you a free ticket to my 4-day online time transformation therapy mind hacks for the future course taking place at the start of March via Zoom. And if you can't attend live, you will get the replays of that afterwards. And I will also give you a bonus extra days of training. And oh yeah, the bootcamp contains over 15,000 United States dollars worth of courses and trainings and professional qualifications if you bought them individually from all the different sources. But together as one, they normally retail for $4,997. I've heard people say today that they want to make it affordable. Boom. I have done. UltimateHypnosisCourse.com. Go there till midnight on Valentine's Day. You'll see you can get the lot for £397 United Kingdom sterling. That's lifetime membership to the bootcamp. That's your free ticket to the Zoom event in March. That's access to earning 26 world-class accredited qualifications where you're encouraged to earn as you learn. And it's also all the training materials, whether you want to learn hypnotherapy, reflexology, or anything that's taught in the bootcamp or not. It's worth joining the bootcamp, whatever your complementary alternative medicine background, just for the putting yourself on the map. MAPP, marketing, advertising, publicity and promotion. We teach you everything you ever need to know about press releases, internet marketing, creating multiple passive income streams on the internet, and how to earn more money as a therapist with your existing modalities than you ever thought possible. And best of all, it comes with a full 1 year, 100% satisfaction money back guarantee, the likes of which nobody else on the planet is offering. One that guarantees you will earn at least £12,000 United Kingdom sterling more bottom line profits after costs from your therapy skills in the 12 months after you've joined the bootcamp than you did in the previous 12 months, or 100% of your money back. Search around, try and find somebody who'll teach you more of value and give you such a guarantee you can't. UltimateHypnosisCourse.com. Check it out. Thank you very much, everybody. And yeah, thank you once again to Siobhan, Trish, Joe, and everyone at the International Practitioners of Holistic Medicine for this opportunity. Thank you to all the speakers this weekend, many of whom I've dropped in and out on Facebook watching for their wonderful talks. And yeah, whatever your modality, check out UltimateHypnosisCourse.com. Thank you from me, and I'm going to hand back to Siobhan.
Oh, thank you so much. That was an amazing session. Thank you.
Thank you.